Sir, the strength of personal values often get tested in extreme situations, and I think that is evident from many situations and many instances that we see in Rambo. So, how does one maintain his or her integrity? What do you have to say on that?
So integrity is not only about financial dealings. Integrity is not only about moral dealings,
Yeah.
but integrity transgresses or covers a wide spectrum
Yes.
of emotions, holding true to the mission,
Yeah.
making sure that you kind of achieve
Yeah.
the goal that has been set for you, despite everything else falling apart. Death being the ultimate spoiler
Yeah.
over here. So we've had instances where even a single man has stood against a horde of 300 people just because the mission entailed that he doesn't leave ground. So even if all his comrades have fallen, he still continues to hold, standing with his with the flag there, daring anyone to cross him. That's how the moral values come in, and moral values again get ingrained from the academies, and later then in the battalions for young recruits and for young officers. Our army also works very largely on a culture which is very, very family oriented. So it's not just a job, it's a way of life. And we work together as a family.
Yeah.
So when you work in a family, it's very difficult to go wrong morally, right? You only do things immorally when you're away from the family and you know no one's watching you.
Yeah.
But here, since you are working in a family and you have everyone from your subordinates to your colleagues to people above you, it's very difficult to go wrong. There are moments of weakness as a human. I will not deny that.
Yes.
But it is the strength of your training and the send of the spirit de corps which makes you overcome those moments of weakness and true to the path.
Let me ask you a very direct question. Do we sometimes forget that our soldiers are also human? They can make mistakes. They are prone to these moments of weakness. Do we just forget that at times?
There are two perspectives to this. In war, there are no losers. So as hard as it may sound, while you, as a human, you can have weaknesses, while in a battle situation as a soldier, there can be no weakness. And if there is weakness, it leads to loss, and it leads to death, and it leads to sacrifice, and it leads to a whole lot of other things. It leads to non-maintaining, not achieving the mission.
Yeah.
So you're not expected to show weakness in battle. Obviously there will be time, but like I said, you need to overcome those moments of weakness. If you go down into military history, there are moments when a lot of people has succumbed to the weakness. Even in Kargil, we had instances where a few officers had got sacked because of moments of weakness, which they succumbed to for reasons that I would not like to go in over here. But there are enough examples, even in a war like Kargil or in the insurgency in Kashmir, where people, young officers and soldiers have overcome the moments of weakness and risen and achieved what they were expected to achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, sir, you also, in the introduction itself, you mentioned that writing this book was catharsis, and bringing out such books are a means to awaken a national conscience. So, how do you feel as an author you have tried to make sure that you evoke those feelings in the reader, and also to ensure that this book actually fulfills the purpose that you've set out for?
So, like I have been saying, that stories such as these need to be told to the nation. Because people need to know, the young boy on the street or the man sleeping in his warm bed at night needs to understand the sacrifice it has taken to give him that warm bed. Giving them a clapping squad of soldiers on the Rajpath is not enough.
Yes.
We need to understand the sacrifices that they make, and sacrifices that they make will be understood only if such stories come out. and they read through such stories. So that is one. The catharsis is because for me it's been an outpouring of emotion. 23 years of service
Yes.
and 23 years of experiences
Yes.
have gone into making the story. It's been an outpouring of emotion. I kind of feel that this had to be evoked and it had to come out. Otherwise, it would have all stayed inside me
Yeah.
and kind of eaten me up.
Yeah.
Rambo is the story of Major Sudhir Walia and his men. A lot of those emotions I have personally felt, and
Yes.
so have a whole lot of my colleagues
Yes.
who have retired or who
Yeah.
are still serving. And this is for all of them.
Wonderful. So you spoke about your colleagues and the fact that you've collectively felt these emotions. The camaraderie in our forces is so strong, it's talked about, and you say that's the only thing that transcends religion, creed, caste, everything else. What can we as a nation learn from this camaraderie? Because we see societies now being divided, people being discriminated against. What do we learn from this camaraderie?
That's a very interesting question. So the army has always been about one ethos, one culture, one religion. While serving, I was commanding Muslim troops and I've kept rosas. I've maintained Ramzan for a month. My daughter learned the Quran.
Wow.
We have instances where, there are Christian officers, Muslim officers, Sikh officers speaking the language of the troops, following the religion, going through the rituals of the mosque or the temple or the masjid or the gurudwara. And they're so entwined that they probably identify themselves, they identify the religion of their troops more than they identify their own religion.
Wow.
That's the kind of deep understanding and the deep comradeship that comes. As a nation, I think what matters is, like Chanakya said, that nothing above the nation.
Yes.
The nation comes first
Yes.
and everything else is secondary.